Hello, it's me, Mr. Nichols. Are you surprised? Um, I wanted to make a quick little video showing you how to submit the research paper peer review and then what to do in terms of reading other people's peer reviews and providing feedback. Um, I have not submitted Magnus Baraka's research paper yet for peer review, but what that's going to mean is I won't have other peers to do feedback for, so I'm just going to end up doing the feedback for my own peer review, if that makes sense. Um, and show you how that process would go because I think that's going to be more beneficial than falsely creating like 3 other research papers and throwing those up there and then doing feedback for all those. It's going to be too hard. And I don't want to get overly confusing. And I'll have to sit there and create thread after thread after thread. It's going to be, it's going to look weird and maybe you'll get confused about what you have to do. So I'm not going to go through all that trouble. But I just want to show you real quick how to do the research paper peer review. Which I know it's kind of strange to show you that before showing you how to write the research paper, which you would have to have written before you did the peer review, but it is what it is. So here we go. Magnus Baraka is going to log into Blackboard. Hopefully it'll let him in. Okay, good. We're going to go to English 1301. This is the peer review for 1301 classes. Go over weekly course content. Scroll down to, I believe the peer review is due in week 11, so we're going to go there. And I haven't done the peer review yet, but I have completed the planning, and I believe I've also submitted the annotated bibliography. Got at least a 50 on it, I think. Let me see. Yep, I sure have. I'm probably going to get rid of this description that it currently has, but it says, oh no, this is actually pretty good. In the subject line, write your name, then a dash. Well, it says below, but it's not actually below. Let's see if it includes that information when I go to create thread. Yeah. So it says in the subject line below, write your name, a dash, followed by research peer review draft for Magnus Baraka peer review draft. So that's what we're going to do. Magnus Baraka research paper peer review draft. Scroll down past the big message box. Go to browse my computer. Then I'm going to go to documents. So that's where I have it. It's in English 1301 2020 fall. And I have the research paper sample, Psych Education. So there it is. Then what do? It says attach a PDF. Oh, okay, I need to go back and do PDF. My bad. So I need to do a PDF, so I made a PDF. Don't attach that one, instead attach this one. Let's see. Research paper sample. That's going to be confusing because I have those actual articles there. Oh well. And then just click submit. Now at this point, the rest of the research peer review posts people should manage to be visible, available to click. So now you provide a peer review to 3 different peers in your class. So click someone else's post. If they already have 3 replies, you may not reply. Please move on to the next post. Okay, so if somebody already has 3 replies on theirs, that means 3 people have already reviewed them, so you can't click theirs. Move to the next one. And that should theoretically, and the first few is going to be a little complicated because people have to wait for the last people to show up so they can get their full grade. But after a while, as long as you're only reading papers that don't yet have 3 peer reviews on them, then it should work out, I think. Hopefully. We'll just have to see. So I want you to, using at least 100 words, provide a comment that ignores grammatical, spelling, and punctuation errors. And I can go ahead and do the submission now and then show you what that looks like. So let's say submit, because I have the peer review draft, I have the attached file, and what that'll look like is I hit submit, and now it appears as a thread. And when I go in there and I look at it, it has just my name, the peer review draft, and the attached. You don't have to type anything in there if you don't want to. So what you'll do is let's say we go back here and we're like, oh, is there anything to peer review? I need to peer review 3 different people's. And let's assume that there are 3 different ones of these. What does this say? I didn't realize that students had that ability to do those things. Grading information. That's not useful. Oh, it's like you could go and look that up, I guess. Just learning stuff. Haven't seen it from the student's perspective before. Subscribe. like and subscribe. Anyway, so let's pretend like there are 4 there, and I'm clicking on the first one I see that's not mine. Okay, it doesn't yet have 3 replies on it, so what I would do is I would click this. It's going to take me to the PDF. If it doesn't work, you have to go to the next person. I'm going to check for things, like structurally, obviously, that there's a title page and an abstract, and then there's the paper. Looks like it's about 4 pages double spaced, so the word count should be fine. And it's got 5 sources, and they're all different authors, and they're different journals, and they have a decently acceptable page length. They're not all perfect, but they're pretty close. And then go back up to the top, and I'm just going to start reading. Now, I tell you if we actually make another window for Blackboard and we go back, I want to show you like what the guidelines are, and I think it looks better on the assignment packet. So I'm going to go and show you that. It's in week 8 assignment packet. So it's right here attached to that assignment. And hopefully you saved a copy of this PDF somewhere so you can go back to it. If not, you've been continually going back to Blackboard and finding it in the either all course assignments folder or the weekly content folders. So you go down to the peer review assignment, and it says you have to have it in a PDF. If you have it in a docx, it's not going to work. You need to utilize research within the draft, so it needs to be a completed draft. It doesn't need to be like a draft that is in some stage of development. I really would prefer completed drafts for this assignment. You should be simultaneously drawing from your research as you create your thesis and argue your thesis throughout the course of the paper. So it shouldn't be, somebody shouldn't say, well, I've done a draft, but I don't have my research in there yet. Well, the research is supposed to be the way you built it. That'd be like saying, yeah, I've built my car, but I don't have the parts yet. This doesn't make any sense. So you have to center your argument completely around the research. If you don't have the research in there, it's not going to work. So you've already submitted your PDF, and then you can see the other ones. And so here's what you'd have to do next. Read the drafts of 3 other students that haven't yet had 3 replies. And I'm going to be the one doing all of those for me. Guidelines for feedback. So using at least 100 words, provide a comment that ignores grammatical, spelling, and punctuation errors, but instead focuses on identifying for the writer what aspects of the paper successfully or unsuccessfully convey their argument regarding the controversial topic they've chosen. So here's the issue that I have. A lot of teachers, when they grade stuff, they grade on grammar and spelling and punctuation, or at least students have the perception that that's what they do. I don't grade on those things. If you'd like, you can go ahead and jump ahead on this document. Actually, this is the research paper. So on this research document, you could jump all the way ahead to the research paper rubric and look through what it is that I'm saying I'm looking for there and judge them based on those things. You can see that I find the thesis to be most important of all, and the references, and that you're citing the sources internally. So honestly, if you're watching this video and you're like, I don't know how to do all of that yet, maybe you should go and watch the research paper video first, where I'm talking about how to write the research paper first, then come back and look at other people's papers, and maybe even write your own afterwards. And the sources need to be relevant, representative, typical, and sufficient, as outlined in the argumentation video. Logic being used effectively, and your ethos also needs to be fairly well established. But that is covered in the research paper video that talks where I go over the sample and I talk about the rubric, and that's all in that video. So you'll need to go and watch that video if you haven't already. But judge it basically based on these things, and everybody has seen me do this already in that video. So I'm not asking for you to judge people on their grammar and spelling. That's not something I grade on, so why would you even point that out for somebody? If they're like, thank you for helping me with that. Why? Like, I'm not grading on it, so it's not like I don't grade on it at all. I'm just saying, like, if something's unreadable, then that affects my ability to grade it. But if it's not unreadable, then, and I'm not grading on it, exclusively, then why is anybody trying to tell everybody else like what that is? It's like completely disregarding essentially the approach that I have toward your papers and how I'm going to grade them, which I think is strange. So the goal you should have is identifying for the writer what aspects of the paper successfully or unsuccessfully conveyed their argument regarding that controversial topic. It could be that the topic itself is not clear. It could be that the research doesn't seem to actually point toward what they're saying it points toward. But just make sure they have a clear thesis, that the thesis is clear about the argument being made. Paper utilizes the 5 research sources to make its case and does it well. Let them know through pointing out specific aspects of their paper and not through general claims without evidence. Don't say like you're wordy or you have a bad tone. You have to use examples to prove to them that they are the things that you say that they are. In fact, I would tell you right now that if anybody does give you a comment where they say like you come across as rude and doesn't give an example of that, I mean, if you can't provide an example, then it doesn't exist. Evidence is required for truth. Places where they're unsuccessful, places where they're successful, the girls deserve praise. So if you can't find enough constructive comments to give, then tell them all the things they do well. Because if they're not doing stuff bad, then they must be doing stuff well. And if they're just blah, write 100 words about how they were blah. So it's got to be 100 words a piece per person. That's really not that much. So what I'm going to do is go over to Magnus Baraka now and do that as though I'm a person who is submitting to him. So like, oh, look, I found this paper. So let me go and hit this link, which when I do, it opens it over here and I can read through his paper like I was talking about before. I look at the stuff and I see his abstract and I read the paper and I go, oh, okay, that's interesting. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, whatever. Nice work. Oh, good job. Then I come back over here and I hit reply. And I will say to him, overall, I think it was a pretty good paper. I couldn't find a lot of issues with it. Honestly, I looked for stuff, but this paper looks much. You know what? I don't want. That's just a whole lot of fluff. Let's go to. I don't want a lot of fluff where you're just saying, what a great paper, and oh my gosh, it's amazing, and oh, I love it. You could literally go through the whole of this paragraph without actually saying anything about what they wrote, and I don't want you to do that. I want it to be very specific to that person's paper. So let's go see if I can find some stuff, and let's read through it and figure out. I'm going to read of course, I go through the sample on the research paper video on how to construct the research paper, but I need to do that kind of like I'm doing it for the first time here as well. So with technology at your fingertips, easy access to pornographic images and movies and websites can intrigue the interest of young adolescents. And let's see, despite the common instincts of parents, though, completely shutting down children off from thoughts and practical knowledge of sex can harm their futures more than telling them exactly how it works and how to treat responsibly. Children should know the real consequences of having sex, not just see the movies because they are fantasized and realistic. Developing unhealthy behaviors views of sex, especially important in rural areas, as they are most plagued by issues of teen pregnancy and STDs from the sexually transmitted diseases source. Why is there no author there? Is there no author there? Oh, she was telling me what STD stands for. I was like, okay, I mean, I'm pretty sure we're familiar with that, but I'm not gonna make a comment about it. I don't know. Maybe she just doesn't know. And I'm 37 years old, so maybe my assessment of like knowing like those kinds of abbreviations is different. All public schools in the United States should implement comprehensive sex education program in 6th grade. So I think good job with your the introduction is very well laid out. I liked the slow build up and rationale leading into the thesis. I mean, make notes as you go. It'll help you. Look, I'm already at 36 words, and that means if I just did like a little bit per paragraph, I would add up to 100 words. So let's see. Most effective form of sex education would have to be a comprehensive type that encourages the act of being abstinent, while also informing students about various ways to have safe sex, protecting themselves from peer pressure, the different types of sexually transmitted diseases or STDs, the psychological effects of sex, and the true definition of what it means to have sex. However, according to Stanger Hall, much of this debate is centered on whether abstinence-only versus comprehensive sex education should be taught in public schools. Some argue that sex education that covers safe sexual practice such as condom use sends a mixed message to students to promote sexual activity. Comprehensive sex education allows students to hear the reason why beginning sexual activity at a young age can be risky and consequential, but those who do choose to become involved have the right to know how to protect themselves. Sex education should be understood thoroughly and not thrown into another course as an extra requirement for teachers to discuss lightly. I think it's pretty clear. I mean, I do think it kind of suffers a little bit from the using one quote thing, but here in the next paragraph she's using data, so she's obviously looking at stuff. By the time students reach the 6th grade, up to 20% of the students have engaged in some kind of sexual activity, and by 8th grade, up to 42% have. Really? Really? That's insane. The 6th grade is an ideal time to implement programs as boys and girls at that age are beginning to go through puberty, experiencing different hormones and emotions, and are changing bodies. Since they're experiencing these changes, it's easier for them to truly comprehend and understand what these feelings. I really like how she, let's see. I like how you lead into the very early time of 6th grade. Wait, I need more words, don't I? 6th grade with a mention of statistics about how early kids get started with sexual experimentation. It helps set up the reason why it's necessary. Oh wait, not that. According to a study conducted by Walcott and Turkini, many college students remember the impact their sex education had on them in middle school. 71% majority stated that their sex education consisted of occasionally discussing sex during health and physical education classes. According to the results, students who received a comprehensive sex education scored higher on HIV and STD knowledge than those who received an abstinence-only based sex education. That's interesting, because that's actually got some data behind it. If we have a more elaborate form of sex education, middle school students can take that knowledge and protect themselves from disease and pregnancy in high school and even after grade school is over. That is interesting. So people who went through that kind of sex education had that knowledge. The next paragraph mentioning the lasting effects of comprehensive sex education is also very effective. Yeah, it's gonna be worse. Oh wait. Rural schools being overlooked as an issue. Oh, so she's basically setting up, this is clever, she's basically setting up each point that she's making in her thesis, the rural aspect of it, the 6th grade aspect of it, and justifying each one, which is one method of doing that. So if you have like little specifics that add up, using the different articles that you have to make that case is a clever way of approaching. Let's see. Blumenpike introduced the idea that rural school administrators believe there is no need for a sex education program because rural students are more isolated than urban students from dangerous temptations, including guns, drugs, violence, and sex. Actually, there's nobody from which to learn what to do with those things that there are abundance of. However, according to Petrovsky, adolescent parenthood is more widespread in the United States than in any other developed country. Really? And it is most common in the rural United States. Adolescent birth rates in rural counties are nearly 1/3 higher than those in the rest of the country. Jeez. Although the birth rate among adolescents was cut in half in major urban centers and by 40% in suburban counties between 1990 and 2010, the decline in rural counties is only 31%. So we did do something to stop teenage births as much. However, we have not done as good of a job in the rural counties. That's interesting. Abstinence-only education commonly practiced in rural areas because of religious influences. Teens are taught not to engage in any sexual activity until marriage. This type of sex education is controversial in its effectiveness due to religious aspects. Influences, maybe? Is that a better word? Creates issue between those who are religious and those who are not. According to Be, I apologize for laughing at a name, but I was thinking meh. I got confused. And Diamond, this type of sex education is limited to teaching that a Monogamous marital heterosexual relationship is the expected standard of human activity, and sex outside this relationship will be physically and psychologically harmful. The debate regarding what to teach minors about sex is a political battle over defining American values. However, it is not acknowledged during this assessment that if minors are taught and practice abstinence until marriage, the possibility of requiring an STD or becoming pregnant is completely eliminated. Let's see. So BED is not acknowledged during this assessment. If minors are taught and practice abstinence until marriage, the possibility of acquiring an STD or becoming pregnant is completely eliminated. I mean, I'm not sure if I take your point about abstinence only education fully. I think the author is arguing in that quote that abstinence only education results in the lack of sexual knowledge of those who will stubbornly not be abstinent. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. However, maybe if you gave him, this is gonna get too complicated. So, since you know that abstinence is the one way of not getting pregnant or an STD, and you know the other kids know that too, but that they are going to do it anyway, it's best to educate them about how they will protect themselves if and when they do have sex and can't maintain abstinence. It's like, you know, it's kind of like that argument of saying like it's the mask thing, right? It's like social distancing is 100% effective in preventing people from getting the virus. It's like when they talk about like if we did a federal mask mandate, it would cut the number of deaths in half, and people go, oh, okay, well the masks aren't even that effective. No, you don't understand. Doing the federal mask mandate would only cut it in half because they know that that will have a significant effect on behaviors of some people. The rest of people are stupid. It's just like basically they're factoring in the social engineering element of an epidemic. So when you say abstinence only education, it's the same as federal mask mandate. Like you can tell people all day don't have sex, and they'll be like, yes, of course, not having sex, no STDs that way, fantastic. And then they get in a situation where they just want to have sex and they're going to do it, and then they're not going to be prepared because they didn't have anything, they didn't learn, they didn't prepare for it. It's just like the social distancing. Yes, social distancing key. But if you're not going to social distance, you need to have awareness of masks and what masks do and how they are helpful. Hand washing procedures. You know, you need to be aware of all of those things in order to make the non-social distancing scenarios effective. So it's kind of like that similar thing here. It's like, well, we should have social distancing only education. Well, people aren't going to do that. That's one of the reasons we're not even having school past Thanksgiving here, or we're having school, which is not, it's online. Because we have people coming up to the campus after Thanksgiving. They'd be like, well, I was social distancing all the time except when we did family, and we wore masks at first and then kind of took them off. You know, we know that's going to happen. You can say all day long that we want to socially distance, but when you get Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's just not going to happen. So basically, I look down here and I see I could read the rest of the paper, but I got to 183 words because I found something to talk about for quite a while. And 100 words is probably only to about right what here? There's no way of knowing. Okay, let's see. Here. Yeah, 100 words. So that's enough for me, and then I will hit submit. I don't need to attach a file because I'm not attaching my own file. I hit submit, and then there is a feedback. That's really weird. That whole thing that I cut out and then put back in, it like changed it. That's really weird. So I have, it's really weird. It looks like I pasted it in from somewhere else. It's very strange. I have this 100-word feedback, and all I do is I go to 3 different people, and I do that same thing. I say, okay, I go back to another thread, I find one, I see it's only got 1 comment, I'm going to go make another one. So we'll do. Please do not do what I'm about to do, okay? I don't want you to do that. So let's say I reply to this one, and pretend like this is a whole new thread, okay? This is not mine in the first place, it's a whole new thread. And I say, yes, I read your paper, la, 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 and then I paste it in. And I hit submit. And then I click OK. Let's say I didn't have time, right, I submitted my peer review, and then I'm like, okay, I get my paper in, so let me submit my peer review real quick. Boom, let me get my paper in now. And so you go and you submit your thread, you like read a couple, and you're like, okay, I'm done. Let me go back to weekly course content really fast. Oh my gosh, paper's due. I gotta hurry. Oh no, it's like 9:30. It's like 11:30 p.m. What do I do? And I gotta go here to week 11. Oh my gosh, I've already done the peer review. Okay, so that's over. Now I gotta go turn my research paper. Here we go. What? But it's due tonight. What is going on? No. And what's really happening is you have to do all of the stuff for your peer review in order for that to work. So what I have to do is I have to go back to the peer review. I have to find one more thread to talk to, because how many did I do? Look, I responded to only 2 people. I responded to one person here, and I went back and I come back in, and I responded to a second person. And so now I got to do a third person. So I have to go, look, there's another one. This side only got 2 on it, so I'm going to do a third. So let's say we do reply here. That's to be good. Oh no, it's 99. At all. So there, oh yay. So I hit submit. Now I have 3 comments that are out there. And that was right? I had to do like a comment on one paper, and then another paper, and another paper, as well as post my own. Once I've done those things, and they all have to be 100 words. But I think that 99 probably will be good enough. I think it's going to count because it's going to add them all up together. So just keep in mind, technically speaking, you will post yours in a thread, go look at 3 different threads, and reply to 3 different people about their papers. So it is going to require you to read 3 different research papers. It's going to take a little bit of time, so just know that you're going to have to set aside more than just 5 minutes to go and submit this draft, just so that you're aware. So once I've done that, then I can go back to weekly course content. Then I can go back to week 11. Then I can go down to the research paper, and for some reason, now I can submit. Why is that? Well, because the only requirement that you have on the peer review is not a specific grade, but just that you complete the assignment. Because once you complete all the steps that are required for the assignment in order to get the grade, which is to submit your own thread and then reply to 3 other people, it unlocks it so that you can do the research paper. So you have to complete that whole assignment for this to become available. That is why you just saw what you saw. So what you're going to do now is, if you have the research paper ready to go, you're done. All you do is hit browse my computer, and you'll attach your research paper in document format, not the PDF. I mean, really, you can do it really either way. I just think the document works a little better, especially if you've done a lot of specific formatting based on the research paper video we talked about, like the different formatting issues you have to take care of. You check the box, and then you hit, you don't have to put anything in the comment box this time. I do want you to make sure the most important thing on this research paper to make sure it gets graded is that you have the references page included in the document. It has to be included in the document, okay? But now that you're able to submit, you can hit submit, and all the stuff that I said that I do on the research paper video, I will be doing here. The stuff where I grade it, I look through there, I verify that it's there, and I check for every single one of the sources to make sure that you included it in the paper. So I'm going to go through this whole thing. Let me see. Can I make it? Oh, I'm on Magnus Bracas right now, so I can't actually do this. But I mean, I guess I can. Do I have a search function here? So let's say we have be. How many times do we see this? Be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I got behaviors. That sucks. Then we have blend pike. There are 3 instances of blend pike. Blend. How many instances of Piotrowski? Plenty. How many of Stanger Hall? 2. How many of Walcott? 2. Okay, cool. So all of the sources are mentioned. Then I will verify that this is a submitted paper that is fully submitted as it should be, and I'll move on. So that is the only way, by following the directions I just showed you, to get the research paper peer review fully submitted and then get the research paper submitted afterwards. And remember, keep in mind that all the stuff you didn't hear about the research paper in this particular video is included in the actual research paper video talking about research paper submission. So you're going to want to watch that one because I go, if you haven't already watched it, because I go over the research paper rubric. I go over the sample and how it meets that rubric. And then I go over how to submit that paper and then how I would grade that paper personally. Additionally, I might have time to go through like 3 different little sample papers. I just don't know that I might include like that from a previous class. I don't know. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to include. Like we usually we'll pass around like these sample papers and then I'll tell you which one got the A, which one got the B, which one got the F. I just don't know if that's going to work in a digital environment as well. So I might do that or I might not do that in that video. But anyways, that's it. So best of luck. Get your research papers submitted, the research peer review submitted first. And once you get that research paper submitted after the peer review, you should be basically done. I mean, it's just a research paper presentation after that, and it's just a little basically 2-minute video, and then the launch pad, and then you're good. So if I don't hear from you again, have a great time. I don't know. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. Have a great rest of the semester. If you end up not doing a whole lot after this, so bye.